over the last three games. I did love our fight, but our execution still has work to do, and that's what I want to see heading into this weekend. So um, that's kind of what I shared with the guys, and went through the corrections and the things that I liked and who caused havoc. And there were plays that I loved, but there's also plays that like, hey man, this part has to be better, and how can we fix that and go into it. So it was good to be back with the guys today and get rolling. So glad to start with you guys as well.
Go ahead, Kime.
Dan, can you give us an update on Tyler Biadasz?
Yes, Tyler had injured both his ankle and his knee, John. So it'll be a tough stretch for him to make it back for this game this weekend.
Was there something torn? Is this something he's going to need surgery on, or is this just a
No
basic?
surgery at this time, but something that will knock him out likely for this week. But no surgeries. That's good of where we're at, but certainly not at a level where he's got the mobility and movement just yet.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nikki.
What is the chances of Marcus playing in the final game?
Yeah, Nikki, he wasn't ready today to participate. Like we had a very light jog through, so he wasn't to that spot yet. So until it gets to full speed and can really cut and stop and start, that's when we would say. So I'll have a better sense when I visit with you on Wednesday, and if he's able to, resume the type of movements that we had. But as it was today, it'd been a stretch to get there. But I'm hopeful, as I have for a few days, to see what it could look like. And if he could like really be himself, then he'd have a real shot at it. But I don't know that today.
And I know this has been a hot topic or a talking point within the NFL, just among potentially resting starters in the final game when for teams that aren't in position to play in the playoffs. Is that something that has come up for you? Is that in consideration at all?
It hasn't come up with us. Not something we're considering. Health definitely factors in with all the guys, Nikki, you know that. But if the guys are healthy and they can play and do the things they need to, then that would be one. But it definitely factors in, but not on the healthy player, if that makes sense to you.
Tom.
I was also going to ask, kind of in that same vein, about Laramie and I guess just other guys in that spot. Are you at a point now where if they have some sort of nicks and bruises that you lean towards holding them out? Maybe earlier in the season you would have pushed them to go, that sort of thing.
Good question, Tom. That part for him, and he's got strength going straight ahead, this oblique. It's the turning and torquing to go. So until that comes, fully around with Laramie, then we'll have a better answer for that. As it sat today, he wouldn't be able to, do that. Everything with your oblique is all about the rotation and the power that comes from that. So, like I said, the health, it does come into effect. But if it's something that a guy can play and play well, then I think that would be different.
And then I just wanted to ask kind of more broadly, and we've asked you this earlier in the season about, balancing like taking a look at younger guys versus more experienced guys and how you kind of try to do both. Does that calculus change at this point entering week 18? Are you at a point where you might give a bit of a longer leash, I guess, to some of the younger players where maybe you wouldn't have a month ago?
Yeah, I think when you earn more, that's fair, Tom, to say the space for more playing time, more opportunities to go. And featuring those guys in spaces. Sometimes it's not even as much the extended playing time as it is, they get their ops, whether it's part of a first part of a progression featured in some certain down and distances. But yeah, that definitely some extended looks could also be by design, if that makes sense. May not even be the volume of plays, but the design too.
David Aldridge.
Hey, Dan. With regard to the fundamental errors, are you seeing physical, mental combination, and is one more vexing than the other?
Yeah, the mental one's more vexing for sure. Like when like a technique where like it calls for a certain coverage, a certain check, a certain route, a certain split. Those are the ones for sure that you want to make sure, okay, that part is eliminated. The physical ones that when you're playing a good technique and can live with that. And I showed that to a certain degree today in the game. We said, okay, we're going to double this player. And if it goes somewhere else, we can live with that, knowing that like the featured player, the design of it wasn't there. Those are ones as a coach, you can say, all right, by design, they hit to the right person. The ones where you allow, a free runner on a blitz or a conversion where you didn't, match the right way. Those are the ones that are particularly costly for us. So that's what I wanted to work on. And I'll continue to shrink until I find that right balance to say, hey, this is the most important thing that we need to do, in this game to go win it. But there's a little bit of a balance of both for sure.
And considering the way the season's gone, I guess I'm asking if a player consistently at this point of the season is still making those types of mistakes, whether they're physical or mental consistently, how do you then evaluate that player in terms of wanting to bring them back next year?
Yeah, it's for sure even in season some to say, okay, does he sit some during that game? Is the solution fixed? But yeah, all of those factor into it. Yeah, you're 100% correct to say these are teaching that we've seen and it's still not getting done versus, okay, getting beat on a technique where we can continue to work with that player. So, yeah, both of those are part of the ongoing like evaluations for all of us.
Tashawn?
Dan, I know you mentioned, wanting to see those fundamentals get cleaned up in particular this week. Looking ahead to next year, is that something that you feel like you need to put a greater emphasis on in the offseason? Sort of just those fine details that have kind of shown up at times this season?
I think so, Sean. Everything's to me up to evaluate again, even what you can emphasize at practice through the off-season program, and especially during the training camp time. So I wanted to go back and look to see where can we add, where do we, emphasize different things during different parts. So I do feel like that's, something that needs to be consistently reinforced like over and over and over again. If that part of our play style is right, Sean, then I think a lot of other things can go. But when I feel that being turbulent, then I see the play being turbulent. And so I want to make sure like this is how we do that all the time. And so certainly continuity has something to do with that when guys are playing together more. But the fundamental piece, man, like that's not changing for me. Like we have to get that part right.
And one more injury note, Duron Payne obviously didn't play last week due to his back injury. Do you have any update on him?
Yes, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Duron. So he was able to do the walkthrough today, so I would think that's a good sign for him heading into the week of where it's at. His back was not in a good space day of game, but treatment through then from the last few days, I would say he's trending in the right way for sure for us. So that's a good sign.
Scott?
Hey, Dan, if Marcus can't go on Sunday, how do you see the quarterback situation playing out?
Yeah, we'd lean and start with Josh again, Scott. And then as far as behind him, we'll just still discuss that between Sam and with Jeff. But if Marcus couldn't, then we'd lean in with Josh again. And there was honestly a lot that I liked in the game. I know it was a short week, but the preparation of what and how we featured him, I thought was the right space. And, like from a decision-making process, I thought, Josh did a lot of things correct that I liked. So we would lean in that way again for sure if Marcus camped.
What is this week like for you, Dan? Because this is the final week. You guys are all going to be together. I mean, this is a team that's been together, since OTAs and mini camp. I guess
Yes.
from the emotional aspect, bittersweetness. What are the feelings right now, knowing this is the final week together?
Yeah, because I think what I said to the guys, Scott, I know um, behind the scenes, there's a lot of unseen work that goes into it that people aren't lining up to talk about. But I would say that I'm the one that does notice that of all the extra time on rehab, the extra time, on the unseen work. So I want to let them know that I do see that and I appreciate it. And so there's no brotherhood quite like a football brotherhood. And so into this space, their chance to, go against another division team and playing for one another. I've seen a lot of that from our team, Scott. And so that's a group, that I certainly love to represent, no doubt about it.
Donna?
Hey, Coach. You talked a little bit about cleaning up areas headed into this final game against Philadelphia. What are some things that you still, you mentioned a few of them, but some things that you know that you need to clean up in this week headed into Philly?
Yeah,
Me
going into
for the
this
second
game.
time.
Yep, that's right. And I thought we were closer, Donna, on the turnover margin of going into that game against Philadelphia. We threw one interception, but we really felt that would be one of the difference makers in the game. Could we come out on the end and the plus side of the turnover margin against them? Now I guess this has been 1-3, against them so far with another game to go. And the turnover margin for us, that's such a big piece of it. So that would be, for me, going into it, number one, top of the pile. Going into the game, just I kind of reviewed again all three phases again this morning. I think the field position is going to be a big piece of this too. And I think Tress has been somebody, Percy, Owens have been ones, especially on our punt team, that I thought they've made a big impact. If they can put them down inside, 15, 10-yard line and have to go the long way, that would be a big deal for us. But turnover margin, defensively, always tackling. And on the offensive side, we're going to have to sustain some drives. And that's going to include winning some on third down. Philadelphia doesn't give up a lot of explosives. And when the opportunity is there for the, 4-yard catch that you can, extend into 5 or 6 and get a first down, those are important plays. So those are a few of the things that come to mind right off the bat, Donna.
And for your younger players this year that you drafted, Bill, some of those other Connolly and all of them, have you seen them grow? Have they surprised you in any way this year?
I thought with Jalen, I thought coming in, I knew the return skills were going to be good. But I thought, quite honestly, after being with him every day and watching him catch punts, I thought they were exceptional. His ability to track it, his ability to make somebody miss. And so in a season on punt returns, you don't get 50 chances, at returns generally. The punters who are good can angle and direct it to go. But I thought he had really shown real moxie as a returner. This is not the easiest place, outdoors and wind and everything that goes with the punt returns. So he's been somebody that's impressed. Certainly Bill has, right from the beginning. There was always a moment or two in training camp early on, the cut, the explosiveness. And so to see a 70-yard run, that just doesn't happen very often in our league. And so it showed the speed that he's capable of. So certainly pleased with that. Trey, I would say, exceeded my expectations in some regards just by his ability to compete right from the very beginning, Donna. Patience at the line of scrimmage, always in control. And I thought you could really tell like he really put a lot of work in to earn the starting job. And then Josh coming in on the same space, I thought he's gained a lot of experience. He's been a better run blocker than I thought, even coming out of Oregon. I knew he'd have the athleticism to pass protect because he could change direction. But if you look at like the long reverse play to Debo or, the combination run on the one to Bill, he was right in the middle of some of these key blocks. I think that's something that will continue to get better as it goes. So with more strength and experience and size, I'm trying to think who I'd left out, but I've been pleased with the class. They're a mature group and ready to work. And so that part, having meaningful roles as rookies, that's a big deal.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Ben?
Hey, Dan, just curious, Quan Martin, snaps have gone down in recent weeks, pretty low for him this last game. Just curious what led to that change in his role.
Yep. There was a busted assignment, Ben, that eliminated some of his reps. And so, as I was kind of referring to with David earlier, there had been a big mistake in the game regarding coverage. And so there were consequences to that. I'd like to also say, like, I love Quan and I believe in him. And that's not so unusual when a difficult play happens, that you change and they have to come stand on the sideline for a moment because my belief in him is sky high. But that would have been the reason behind the less playing time in that specific moment.
And to go back to the question that Nikki asked about how this time of year, there's always a discussion of do you sit some guys who are maybe borderline with injuries just because it's the end of the year and maybe your team focuses a little bit more on the draft, even if draft pit slot, even if you don't want to say that publicly. You said that you guys had not discussed that. And I'm just curious as to why not discuss it, considering the people who are making these decisions will presumably all be here next year. So next year, this year factors in the next year. Why not consider that?
Yeah. I want to preface it to say, like, it's the health part. Like, we wouldn't make the decision on somebody that wasn't able to. I think that's an important piece too, Ben. Like, all the guys are going to push to go, and we'll always try to make the best decision for them and the team. And for a lot of them, it's development. For a lot of them, it's the playing, it's the competing, it's part of what we do and who we are. Um, I recognize the question by you and Nikki both. And if there was a scenario like that, that wasn't due to injury, that would be something we'd be comfortable talking about. It's just not part of, our discussions and what we do. We wouldn't have any issue discussing it. It's just not part of our philosophy.
All right, Candy.
Hey there, Coach. When you take a look at the season and, last season, I know you talked about you wanted to build on that. And the complementary football, there were moments throughout the season where it's kind of like we all saw it, and I'm sure, of course, you did. Of course, when you went and looked back at the film, you saw it there as well. But what do you think? What happened in terms of the consistency of that complementary football? Do you think there were moments of it, but it seemed like it just didn't stick? So what do you think may have happened there?
Yeah, it's a valid, fair question. The ones that I've had lots of sleepless nights on. So it's definitely understandable. Yeah, the consistency of those and executing those in those moments, we've missed them. And when you do, not like you're going to make every one of them. Like, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. You don't make every 2-point play. You don't make every fourth down chance, like no team does. But what you do want to do is make sure when those moments are there that you've done everything you can to put yourself into the right spot to go do that. And if you can put your head on the pillow saying, okay, we did all the right things. It didn't go our way. What I'd say I want to keep digging in on is to say, why the inconsistency? Do we need more reps at it? Do we need more time at it? Do we need more of the same people doing the same jobs over and over and over again? So some of that is a factor, the continuity, Candy, but other times it could be as simple as, okay, that was one concept and that's been caught up on. What's the new concept? What are the ways that you evolve as a team, as play callers? And so I think all of it is under review for me. If it was just one thing, for damn sure, I would have put my finger on that. When it's a multitude of things and there's layers to it, you want to keep digging, and I'm into that space for sure.
And when it comes to tackling, sometimes it seems like is it tackling or is it the attempt for a takeaway? So it looks like someone may be trying to punch the ball out versus making the tackle. And so how do you find that balance between just kind of the art of punching the ball out to get a takeaway or to force a fumble there versus just making the tackle?
Yep. I wish I could say that was the case. It's not been the case as much as it may seem. It hasn't been as good wrap and driving your feet through the contact as it is. I'm going to be reckless and go take my one chance at the ball. So the art of tackling is really about leverage, and it's owning that leverage. And if you stop your feet too early, you can lose it. If you get head up on somebody as opposed to maintaining a leverage with your shoulder, you can lose it. And so it's as much, Candy, of working and owning and maintaining that leverage as it is, going to try and take the ball away. That's a really important part for us of forcing fumbles, but not over tackling. So the ones that we've missed, I would say by large majority, have not been somebody was reckless punching at it as opposed to tackling. But when you see good tackling, it's the feet on contact. And I thought Bobby's games over the last couple of weeks, his tackling, you saw the striking and the feet on contact. That's what really strong tackling looks like, especially in open field. Candy, especially in the open field. That's the most challenging ones.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Nikki. Last one.
I'm so glad I got to do this on a Monday, no less. You had mentioned the execution, and I know I think it was after the game, you mentioned the winning time moments not being there, much like they were last season. Has that been among the things that sort of surprised you this season, especially since a lot of the guys were here last year?
Yes. That execution of nailing exactly what to do in that space. It hasn't been as much of the last play of the games, those type of scenarios, Nikki, I felt have been strong. It's the ones of third and fourth downs, some of the 2-minute ops to go. Like there was a scenario in the game, you don't love to be down 10 points, but I was pleased with the execution of the offense. We were able to get a kick in, before 2 minutes and 10 seconds, to kick off to the other team where we essentially have 4 timeouts. Well, the other part of that execution is getting the stops defensively to make them kick it again. So when I'm speaking of those, third and fourth downs have a big part of that. Sometimes just when the moments of the game change, when it's like, all right, we got the big run with Debo, we're down inside, the 2 or 3 yard line, like we need points in that. So those moments, yes, of not being able to nail them and recognize this is that play, this is that moment that calls for the hyper focus. To not nail those in all 3 phases, that's been challenging for sure, and something that, like, I'm digging in as hard as we can, but that has to be much improved for damn sure.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. See you, everybody. See you on Wednesday.